But Chimaev is truly on a different level.
I think DDP beats him.
I think he could, and I am leaning that way.
Yeah.
But now I'm real.
Yeah.
You know, I also want DDP to win, but I'm leaning towards DDP.
Yeah.
Because I think the idea of Chimaev is a round one guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If you take...
Does Khamzat beat DDP?
Man, Khamzat could beat anybody in the world in about a round. It's super impressed with what he did to Robert Whittaker. I don't see that against DDP. DDP's scrambly, man. You're going to need to really be able to pace yourself for 5 rounds with DDP's train.
Khamzat Chimaev, an incredible fighter. Very, very, very tough fighter. You know, has been hit with a few tests. Obviously, you know, myself, obviously Burns. So, and he's passed. So, I'm excited to see how that fight goes with him.
Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the top reactions and updates in MMA. Let's get right into it. Reactions have started pouring in from MMA pros after the release of Khamzat Chimaev's latest training footage ahead of his upcoming showdown with Dricus Du Plessis. Jack Hermansson, for one, pointed out Chimaev's explosive pressure early in fights and acknowledged how dominant he can be. But he also mentioned that Du Plessis has the ability to turn things around if he can survive that initial storm. According to Hermansson, this isn't likely to be a quick finish. He sees it as a war where the outcome could swing in Du Plessis' favor if the fight drags into later rounds.
That's going to be an amazing fight, and I think Khamzat is going to pull it off. But I do think that, you know, especially early, I think it's going to be tough for Dricus. But if he can push the fight into the later rounds, I think he can have an advantage. So it's going to be a really interesting one. But I'll bet my money on Khamzat in that one. But, you know, not like some people think that he's just going to run him over. But I think it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really interesting, especially like you said, if it goes into the later rounds. We've seen DDP go 5 rounds. I know he does look tired, right? Like he has this weird style where he kind of looks like he slows down, but he's going 5 rounds though, right? Like that's something that's kind of interesting. Where I don't believe Chimaev has before. So.
No, exactly, and we have seen like in the was it like the Burns and the Usman fight where he looks a little bit more tired in the later rounds. So yeah.
How was it? I know this is a couple of years ago, but how was it wrestling him, like just from the strength perspective? Because obviously he used to fight at 170, he's at 85 now, but I hear that he is very strong for the weight class. What was it like when you got to wrestle him that one time?
Nah, he's a really, really good, technical and super, super strong. You know, he looks like a tall, lanky guy, but he feels like a super, super strong guy. You know, he has amazing strength in his grips, and he's something special, you know. So
Dominick Cruz also chimed in, praising Du Plessis' crisp technique, particularly his footwork and ability to switch stances fluidly. He noted that those traits, paired with Du Plessis' calm mindset under pressure, might give Chimaev issues, especially since most of Chimaev's opponents crumble under his early onslaught. Cruz believes Du Plessis' mental game might be the key to handling that pressure.
Man, I actually really like Dricus right now, the way he's looking. Like I said in the Schmo interview, he doesn't really stay on the center line. His striking and the stance switch really supports him in the rest of the takedown defense. Because as long as you don't sit right in front of a guy consistently, it's hard to get a hold of the legs and shoot on you. So he's also very big and strong. So I think he can challenge the strength of Chimaev in the first 2 rounds, which a lot of people haven't been able to rival. Just the strength alone has been too much. And I think Dricus is sturdy enough and big enough. He can challenge it. But I will say, I think it might be the toughest fight of his career so far.
Adding to that, Kamaru Usman called Chimaev a very, very tough and talented fighter. He reflected on the challenges Chimaev has already faced, including himself and Gilbert Burns, and pointed out how Chimaev has consistently risen to the occasion. Usman expressed genuine excitement for the Chimaev versus Du Plessis matchup, calling it a battle between 2 warriors with real grit. It's one of the few fights he's genuinely hyped to see.
Khamzat Chimaev, an incredible fighter, very, very, very tough fighter. You know, has been hit with a few tests. Obviously, you know, myself, obviously Burns. So and he's passed. So I'm excited to see how that fight goes with himself and Dricus Du Plessis. I think that's a phenomenal fight. Both guys tough, extremely tough. So that's one of the fights I'm looking forward to the most this year.
Chimaev's recent training footage continues to make waves, highlighting just how intense his grind is behind the scenes. Whether he's sparring, drilling grappling exchanges, or pushing through exhausting conditioning sessions, the footage shows an athlete who refuses to slow down. His pace is non-stop. The wrestling remains elite, and his striking has taken another step forward. Tight combos, aggressive pressure, always walking forward. His training sessions look like his fights, relentless. But what really stands out in these clips isn't just the physical talent, it's the mental edge. Chimaev trains like he's on a mission, 2, sometimes 3 sessions a day, and you rarely see him take a breath. Coaches and training partners constantly speak on how driven he is. They call him one of the hardest working athletes they've ever seen. That level of obsession is part of what separates him from the pack and fuels his rapid rise in the UFC. Ilia Topuria offered a respectful perspective, saying he admires both fighters equally. He credited Chimaev for always going for the finish, never playing it safe or relying on judges. In Topuria's eyes, Chimaev has earned his shot. Even though he knows both men personally, he's excited to watch the fight just as a fan of the sport. He finished by wishing both of them the best inside the cage.
He's the man. He's a savage. He calls him his shots. He finishes his opponents. When he goes inside the octagon, you know that that guy goes for the finish. He's not looking for the decision. That's why I respect Khamzat. He's a beast. So he deserves to fight for the title as soon as possible. We're going to have an amazing fight because I love Dricus Du Plessis. He's a great human being. I have a great relationship with him. I have a great relationship with Khamzat also. But as a fan of mixed martial arts, it's going to be a very exciting fight. I hope the best man wins, and I wish best of the luck to both of them.
Coach Eric Nicksick weighed in with his own analysis of Du Plessis, calling him disciplined and strategic. After carefully reviewing Du Plessis' recent performances, Nicksick sees clear signs of growth. While some think Du Plessis fights awkwardly, Nicksick argues it's all calculated. His rhythm and timing throw opponents off, and he believes the most effective way to deal with Du Plessis is by gaining top control and disrupting that rhythm.
I'm so curious how Khamzat and DDP plays out. I feel like DDP's going to be able to weather the storm the first 2 rounds and then start taking off the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. What do you think?
I do too. I've studied DDP a bunch. Super respectful, nice guy. He's very well coached. Just his overall development, he's jumped leaps and bounds in between that Brad fight to now being world champion. People think it looks erratic, but it's not. It's very calculated what he's trying to do. It's a lot of those same reps that he does, but there's a motion to him that's kind of hard to gather rhythm. How do you eliminate all that? Take a guy down, put him on his back.
Ariel Helwani shared a similar view, describing Du Plessis as someone who gets better as the fight continues. He pointed out that the early rounds, especially against someone like Chimaev, could be rough. But if Du Plessis can weather that, he's got the tools to adapt mid-fight. Helwani thinks that Du Plessis' ability to make adjustments could be the difference maker later on.
It's one
now,
of the
which
great
direction are you putting that now? Are you transferring that to DDP?
I think DDP figures it out. I think he takes him to deep water and he figures it out. And I think it's like a learning lesson for him and all this stuff.
Jason Mayhem Miller gave his opinion too. He sees Chimaev as a nightmare matchup for anyone, combining high-level grappling with sharp European-style striking. He questioned whether Du Plessis can avoid takedowns, stay aggressive, and still manage to mount his own offense. To him, conditioning could be what decides everything.
Khamzat, this kind of thing is, all right, so now do you counter wrestle Do you find your striking exchanges working when you push the guy backwards? And can you do that without overshooting and getting taken down? Do you want to get taken down and make a scramble and this? No, probably not. Du Plessis has work cut out for him. Like, he has to kind of figure this enigma out of a dude who can kickbox pretty good with this European style kickboxing and also really high level grappling. I don't know. I think it'll come down to who's in the best shape, who's the best conditioned. That's really the end of that. Happy birthday, August 16th. We're going to see that one.
Mayhem added that he slightly leans toward Chimaev due to his wrestling foundation. Growing up grappling gives Chimaev an edge in control and energy conservation. He respects Du Plessis' power, but mentioned that his strength seems more muscle-based than natural frame, which might not hold up well if Chimaev keeps it on the mat. Still, he left room for a potential upset if Chimaev plays to his strengths.
Chimaev, you know, because he has like this special ingrained, and I say this because you start the kids young and they just get a little extra something, you know, there's a little bit of extra feel. There's another 10,000 hours put on top of their athleticism because they've been doing this for so long, grappling especially. And Du Plessis is an excellent grappler, but what it comes down to is being able to relax during those grappling exchanges and not use that much energy. His body is big, but he's like a bigger human being, not necessarily just a big muscle-bound guy like Du Plessis. He's like Du Plessis has the frame of a lighter man, but has put on muscle to compete at the higher weight class. Chimaev might have an edge, might be an upset there.
Michael Bisping also shared insight, stating that Chimaev's best path to victory is to get the finish early. He reminded fans that Du Plessis has 23 wins with only 2 losses and comes into this fight on an 11-fight win streak, 10 of those inside the UFC. This will be his 3rd title defense. Bisping emphasized that Du Plessis has wins over Israel Adesanya by submission in round 4 and has beaten Sean Strickland twice, once by decision and once via a narrow split.
And I'm telling you, he's going to try and finish Dricus Du Plessis straight away. And that's his best bet. Now, Dricus Du Plessis, this man's on fire, right? He's 23-2 overall. He's on an 11-fight win streak. He's got 10 wins in the UFC. And of course, this will be his 3rd title defense. He beat Sean Strickland by unanimous decision. He choked out Israel Adesanya in the 4th round. And he took the belt, as we know, in a close split decision victory over Sean Strickland way back at UFC 297. But they always say when you become the champion, you get 30% better. This man is improving all the time. He's got tremendous grappling of his own.
He also warned that Chimaev may be surprised if he thinks he'll just take Du Plessis down and submit him early. Du Plessis has strong grappling credentials. He's submitted multiple black belts in jiu-jitsu. Bisping praised Chimaev's move to middleweight and his solid performance against Whittaker, but said Du Plessis continues to evolve and is one of the toughest tests out there.
If Khamzat Chimaev thinks that he's going to go out there and just take down Dricus Du Plessis and just choke him out, right, like he's some schmuck, like he doesn't know what he's doing, like he's not someone that choked out an entire black belt jiu-jitsu team one after the other, then I think Khamzat Chimaev will be in for a rude awakening. Now, of course, since Khamzat Chimaev moved up to 185 pounds, he's looked phenomenal, okay? The way that he destroyed Robert Whittaker, that was so impressive.
MMA Guru admitted that while he used to back Du Plessis to beat Chimaev, he now sees the early round as dangerous territory. Chimaev's pressure could end the fight before Du Plessis gets going. His heart still supports Du Plessis, but his head sees how dangerous Chimaev can be if he isn't stopped early.
DDP? I don't know anymore, man. These guys are... I used to think, you know what, DDP's got him. And I still think that, dude, he might just be too strong to be muscled around like this.
Yeah.
But Chimaev is truly on a different level.
I think DDP beats him.
I think he could, and I am leaning that way.
Yeah.
But now I'm real.
Yeah.
You know, I also want DDP to win, but I'm leaning towards DDP.
Yeah.
Because I think the idea of Chimaev is a round 1 guy.
Yeah.
You know? If he takes out DDP in round 1.
Guru also suggested that Du Plessis shouldn't play defense too long. He said Du Plessis should come out aggressive, even attempt his own takedown to throw Chimaev off. Most of Chimaev's past opponents let him set the pace. If Du Plessis can flip the script, he might have a better shot.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So this is why I don't think DDP should go out there like, got stuff to take down.
Yeah.
Fuck it, dude. Get on his hips before you.
Yep.
You know? And if he stuffs it, so be it. It'll be the least thing he expects. And for a second, Chimaev, who's a killer.
Yeah.
He's a murderer.
Yep.
He goes out there, I'm going to fucking drag this guy in the first round, destroy him. For a second, he goes, what the fuck?
Yeah.
If you can snap that on Chimaev for a second, Whittaker, he never had a moment in that fight where he thought, fuck. What's going on?
It was like, oh, he got me back.
He was complete composure. Same with Usman. Burns had him re-second guess himself.
Yep.
But all the good first rounds he's had, there's never been a snap in his mental game. That always happens in the later rounds. But if DDP shoots on him, there's a moment in Chimaev's head where he goes, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's not this killer in a fight.
Yeah.
Chael Sonnen discussed how this matchup isn't as clear-cut as people think. Du Plessis is not easy to take down, and keeping him down has proven to be nearly impossible. Chael added that the middleweight division is stacked right now, naming guys like Kyle Barboza, Bo Nickel, Dennis Tulilin, and Sean Strickland as evidence that this weight class is on fire.
I mean, this isn't a simple fight where you go, well, go out and take him down. It's like, yeah, good luck. Go out and take him down. Yeah, it's true. And then you got to hold him there once you do it. Oh, and by the way, nobody else has taken down and held Dricus there. Like, this fight is starting to look different. The entire division is starting to look different. There's never been a time that 185 pounds has had such a spotlight on it. I'm watching this guy, Kyle Barrow, myself. I'm thinking this guy might quietly be the real assassin of that division, but that's not easy to say. I think Bo Nickel go all the way to the top. And I think that DeRinner is greatly underrated. And I don't think Sean Strickland is ready to move on just yet. Like, 185 is a really exciting proposition.
While Chael sees Chimaev as the favorite and would pick him to win, he's not exactly confident about how he'll do it. He doubts Chimaev can control Du Plessis for long stretches. He believes the opening round will set the tone. If Chimaev scores a quick takedown, it could go downhill fast for Du Plessis. But if Du Plessis survives the first few minutes, the momentum might swing.
Is it a surprise that Chimaev is a favorite? No, I would expect him to be. But I also feel as though if I were predicting this today, I would lean Chimaev. As long as you didn't ask me a follow-up question. Like if I told you, hey, I think Chimaev's going to beat Dricus. Okay, great. If we all get up and walk out of the room, we're fine. The problem is if you're going to ask me how. How is he going to beat him? Because I am not fully confident that Chimaev can take him down at will. I'm not fully confident he can keep him there. We're going to know in the very first round. If Dricus gets taken down in the first round, things are going to unravel very quickly. But if he can defend a takedown for the entire first 5 minutes, it's only going to get easier to stay on your feet after that. It's an exciting match. I would expect Chimaev to be the favorite.
Robert Whittaker praised Chimaev's takedowns, calling them powerful and technically refined. But he also backed Du Plessis as someone who's incredibly tough to finish. Whittaker thinks if anyone can push through Chimaev's early aggression, it's Du Plessis. And if that happens, the fight could shift in his favor.
Khamzat and DDP, the next fight. Who do you think's going to walk away as the champion?
I can't see anyone really stopping Chimaev's takedowns. Like, his takedowns are so hard to stop. It's super high level. Can DDP drag it into those later rounds? Can it get through the first grappling exchanges and then start to capitalize on his just like persistence, like doggedness to go away? Honestly, if Chimaev can't get DDP out of there, DDP wins. DDP wins almost every fight. You can't get rid of him, right? Because he's like mold, dude.
Azamat Boev said a lot of fans still underestimate Du Plessis. He sees this fight being a real test for Chimaev. While he acknowledged Chimaev's impressive run so far, Boev believes the odds are close. He gives Chimaev a 55% chance, saying either man could win.
Everybody underestimates the champion, Dricus Du Plessis, but I think it's going to be not easy fight for Khamzat Chimaev. But Khamzat Chimaev also strong. He destroyed a lot of fighters, and but I still think it's going to be close fight, and who knows who's gonna win? Maybe 55%. So it's Chimaev. Like that.
Henry Cejudo, shared that Chimaev can definitely finish fights early, but he doesn't think that'll happen this time. Du Plessis' scrambling and pressure could give Chimaev issues. Cejudo used to view Du Plessis as sloppy, but now respects his high pace and grit, calling this a legit challenge for Chimaev. He added that Chimaev will need to pace himself if he wants to make it through all 5 rounds.
Does Khamzat beat DDP?
Man, Khamzat could beat anybody in the world in about a round. It's super impressed with what he did to Robert Whittaker. I don't see that against DDP. DDP's scrambling, man. You're going to need to really be able to pace yourself for 5 rounds. And with DDP's train just continue to keep rolling and he's still steaming and his train's still hot, it depends on how long DDP wants to take a break. You're going to have to prepare, man, for a guy like DDP. You're going to need a 3-rounder or a 5-rounder to get ready, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. I think DDP's too... I used to think he was the sloppiest thing on planet Earth, and I thought the same thing about Marab until they bring that volume and just the tenacity. It changes everything.
If you made it this far, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more expert takes, fight footage, and the most real talk in MMA. Catch you in the next one.